Welcome to the Bully Crypto Podcast, where we highlight emerging companies and the latest developments in the blockchain industry. Today we have Minus Wells here with us. Minus is an active member of the blockchain community and spends most of his time discussing various ways to make passive income in the blockchain space. Most notably, he discusses many masternode projects, staking projects, and mining projects. This is an important episode because Minus Wells dives deep into the many ways to make passive income in the blockchain space, and he even gives his own personal recommendations on the best blockchain projects to make passive income. I encourage you to check the timestamps down below for the main topics discussed on this episode. Thank you for tuning in to the Bully Crypto Podcast. On this episode of the Bully Crypto Podcast, we have Minus Wells here with us. Minus, welcome to the Bully Crypto Podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Bully. Thanks for inviting me. Good to have you.
No, thank you so much for taking the time to be here and talk to the community. Minus, I know that you do a lot of work within the blockchain space, within the cryptocurrency space, specifically with educating people on masternodes. I know that masternodes is a trending topic right now, and we're going to get all into that here on this episode. However, before we get into that, I want to dive deeper into your background. What is your background, and how did you get interested in cryptocurrency and blockchain technology?
Well, I guess my background is, I don't really want to talk about it too much, but I like computers a lot, and got into blockchain in 2015, buying Bitcoin. I remember, thinking how it was pretty cool, seeing Ethereum at like $4 or $5 and passing that one up because, it was just an S coin compared to, the big bad Bitcoin. And kind of just snowballed out of control from there. 2017 came and the big bull run came. And I started looking into projects and things like that. And I ran into XRP, and XRP really allowed me to dive headfirst into crypto. Because Bitcoin, I never really thought that it was the future. It's like, well, if it takes 45 minutes to send, how is this going to be the future? How is this going to take down the banks? This doesn't make any sense. So I couldn't really stand behind Bitcoin 100% until I figured out what it was about and all these other coins and how they're all going to work together. And then I was like, well, I'm gonna be an XRP maxi because they're working with the banks and you can't beat the banks. That was my logic. Like if XRP is working with the banks, you can't beat the banks. I'm going deep into crypto. And that's kind of where it started. And, things have progressed. So blockchain has really made big leaps and bounds. And, proof of work was the way back then. And then, now we're seeing proof of stake and proof of consensus with XRP, for example. But that's just kind of how I got into it. And passive income mining was really awesome. I really enjoy mining. I got miners set. I'm working on my miners right now. I got a miner running on this computer right now that we're talking on. So it's heating the house.
So now let's talk about passive income opportunities, right? A lot of people come to me, they message me on Twitter saying, hey, Bully, are there any ways in cryptocurrency to make passive income? And I sort of don't know where to point them. And I know that you're the expert in this, right? So let's go deep into that. How can people, our listeners, make passive income in the cryptocurrency space, in the blockchain space? Because the space is different from where it was in 2017 to where it is right now. There are so many opportunities. But I think that people don't know, or like maybe people don't know they don't have a sense of direction. Basically, people don't have a sense of direction. They don't know where to begin. So, are masternodes the way to start making a steady passive income stream for the listeners?
Well, it's kind of a loaded question. Passive income with crypto, there's many different ways. Mining was how it started out with me, mining. And mining's kind of cool because it takes a lot of electricity, but that's kind of the down thing. But you don't need coins involved. You can just convert electricity into coins and generate passive income. And it's been, fairly good for the last year since, the market came up, and it was really good back in the day. So you don't need a lot of coins. And then there's, staking and, proof of stake. I guess masternodes are proof of stake. And then there's just coins that you can stake coins. It's real easy. So there's skill level. Masternodes usually require a certain amount to get in of collateral to run. And then staking on most projects, you can just stake whatever. If it's $5, $10, $100, $100,000, whatever. So and masternodes take a certain skill set too. Traditionally. Now it's getting a lot easier. These projects are like, hey, the average Joe doesn't know what putty is and doesn't know how to log into servers, and they don't want to have to manage stuff like that and log in and run updates, and they're starting to figure all this out and making it a lot easier. So passive income, there's just different levels. There's some, DeFi's crazy for passive income. DeFi is kind of high risk. A lot of these DeFi platforms, especially the ERC20 DeFis that you see, and we can talk about like OHM and all these other passive income projects if you want to. I mean, we probably should. Passive income also comes into like staking in wallets, like Exodus, for example, is a wallet you can stash your crypto in and stake it. Then my favorite is BitTrue and PowerPiggy. Different levels of security here. When you stake masternodes, you're locking your coins up in a system, and no one can really take those coins because they're locked inside of a masternode, and which is, I think it's a little more secure than actually staking on an exchange, which they put things in those coins in cold storage, so it's relatively safe. It's kind of off the web. But, you're dealing with an exchange and you don't have your own keys. So, there's different levels of passive income, and some of them work for some people, and, short-term, long-term, and, skill set. Those all kind of vary between different projects.
So you mentioned mining, you mentioned masternodes, and you mentioned staking. So let's go into each of these. So what is mining? For those who don't understand what mining is.
Mining is verifying the blockchain. And when you help verify the blockchain, when you participate in that, you get rewarded. So like right now I'm mining Ethereum. I'm mining Chia, which is hard drive mining, which is kind of a low electricity consumption. It's not very profitable, but I've landed a few blocks. And then, helium, I'm mining helium right now as well, which everyone's maybe heard a little bit about, which is a pretty cool project. So yeah, you crunch numbers and you get rewarded. And it's the old school POW, Gen 1 way of validating networks, and, you got paid out for it.
And now the pros and cons to mining for the listeners who don't understand.
Pros and cons to mining. Well, like I said earlier, mining, you don't need coins, initial capital to really get invested. You need hardware. And, I mean, for example, there's this coin called Veriscoin, and I don't follow it or do it anymore, but it was like a CPU miner. And I mined it for a long time, and then the coin blew up, and it was like, whoa. I mined a whole bunch of coins. Now I got some capital. But CPU mining is kind of dead, for sure. And pros and cons. Yeah, I guess the big pros and cons are the environmental aspect. It's always the big debate. Ripple's always like, oh, we're net neutral and our validators reach consensus with just 100 or a couple hundred computers running minimal power, and Bitcoin's consuming 2% of the world's energy consumption is Bitcoin mining. So pros and cons. I guess mining is less profitable. When you have capital, it's easier to stake, and then it's kind of exponential. It doesn't really cost any more electricity if you're going to stake 10 times more coins. So, back in the day, it was fun to mine and accumulate money, and then once you go through a bull run or two, you have money and you want to stake it because that's more effective in getting passive income.
So now let's move on to staking. What is staking?
Staking is when you put coins into a system and then you get rewarded. So a lot of these cool projects are proof of stake. And like XRP is proof of consensus, and there's no rewards for that, which it validates it kind of. It's kind of like a validator, and validators and masternodes are kind of the same. But proof of stake is you put some skin in the game, and then you have voting rights, and then you get rewarded for staking and verifying the network. It's very low computer consumption, energy consumption. It's pretty cool. I like proof of stake because it's an incentive. It's utility. People want to make money, so they invest in projects that they can get passive income. So it's also like an incentive to participate in validating the network. And everyone can, like I said, you can usually stake a little bit or a lot. So it's pretty decentralized in that respect. So
let's move on to the pros and cons of staking.
Pros and cons of staking. Can't really think of any cons of staking. I mean, the cons of staking, if you don't have a lot of money, you can't make a lot of money because it takes capital to show a nice return. The bear market, a pro of staking it, or all passive income, for example, is accumulating coins in the bear market. When the market's always dropping down, a lot of times you don't know when it's going to explode up, and you want to be invested for the moment that it explodes upwards. And you're going to generate additional coins while you're waiting for the inevitable. That's a pro. Not a lot of cons, really.
And now let's move on to masternodes. What are masternodes for those that don't understand masternodes?
You apply resources. You apply computing, processing power, computers, and you stake on top of that to validate the network. So there's usually a lot of collateral needed to run a masternode, which prices out a lot of people. And when I got into masternodes, it was because, it was computer technical, so a lot of people can't figure it out. So that kind of puts you in an area that has less people participating, so the rewards are higher. So, people are staking 6, 7, 8% by clicking the stake button, and then I run command lines and apply processing power, and I'm getting 20% or more. So it was kind of an area to achieve a greater passive income margin, or your APY, APR, for setting up these masternodes. And now they've gotten a little bit easier. Like I said, the easier they are, the more people can participate, and the stronger the network is. So, and rewards have, on some coins, the rewards are better than others, and it's a pretty sweet deal.
Now the pros and the cons to running a masternode.
Pros are you get paid out at a high APR, and that's pretty much it. You get a higher APR than staking, and it's all about the money. So you got to put in the effort, though. You got to manage nodes. A lot of times, you don't really want to run a masternode server at your house just because power goes out. Your servers your computer's maybe not the fastest. Your internet's probably not as fast as a professional, institution that just has thousands of computers that can set up virtual servers for you with, super high, top of the line internet speeds. And internet speeds matter on a lot of these projects. The faster you can get things done, the more often that you might get nominated to get these rewards. So, The cons are the managing the VPSs or the servers that you need, in addition to providing collateral. So it's more technical, it takes more time, troubleshooting. There's more errors with masternodes. When you stake, you just put it in there and it doesn't fail. Staking just never fails. Masternodes can fail, and you got to fix them.
So now you clearly described mining, staking, and masternodes, and the pros and cons to each of them. And I truly appreciate you for that. Now, could you give the listeners your top recommendation for mining projects that listeners could stake with, and projects that are masternode projects? So give your top project for each of these categories.
Well, mining, I think the top of the list is the Helium project. With low frequency radio waves, we're creating a network. It's like decentralized internet, and 5G's coming out, and they made it pretty plug and play, so anyone can figure it out, which is really cool. And anyone with a graphics card, a decent graphics card, can mine Ethereum, and mining Ethereum is not bad. I mean, I don't know what the kilowatts are where you're at, but over here where I'm at, they're 11 cents a kilowatt, and mining yields return. It's like every cent you put in, you get 5 out. So in California, power is 20 to 30 some odd cents depending on what time of day you're mining or using your electrical. So the rewards aren't as good. In some areas, electrical is so expensive, maybe it's not even worth it too much. But for mining, I think, the Helium project is pretty outstanding. And once Ethereum 2.0 gets initiated, and who knows if that's ever going to happen, it was last year and then it's this year, now it's like, it's delayed till 2022 or 2023, and when 2023 comes, you're going to be like, it's going to be like 2025. That's when we're going to be fully integrated, and it's, when Ethereum goes, all POW is dead, because there's so many people mining, and Ethereum's such a huge project. If that disappears, we're going to be trying to mine these other coins, and there's going to be too much competition, and no one's going to make money, and it'll just die out. It's going to be, the end of mining POW is pretty much when Ethereum hits 2.0. Bitcoin, it could go to 100K and it would still be profitable. But, where are we going to be by next bull run in 5 years? Who knows? Probably in the less profitable range.
And now for staking, your top project for staking.
Staking's a tricky one. There's so many different staking coins. I couldn't even name them all. I mean, tons of stake. My favorite one right now is probably Polkadot and Polkadex. Staking of the Polkadot network it's pretty overlooked by a lot of people. The staking's a little more complicated to get into, but the rewards for staking Polkadot's about 13% right now, and that kicks most coins in the ass for staking. And it beats out modern finance by threefold. So staking Polkadot and Polkadex, I'm staking some Polkadex. It just went live with mainnet a couple weeks ago, and it was, last time I looked, it was 140% APR. And then auto compound, so that's really could be, it's probably a lot more APY, like 300 or 400 APY. It's gonna go down over time, probably level out around where Polkadot is, but for the next year or so, it's going to be pretty good. Staking popular right now is pre. You can stake pre on, pretty easy setup nodes. Those are, this is kind of like traditional staking. You can stake on BitTrue, and they have like 20 or 30 coins you can put in PowerPiggy, and there's different rates that apply to them, and that's pretty cool for staking. Songbird just came out. Staking on that right now, on I think it's around 78% 2.5% was one test, and I think it even got a little higher than that recently. So, that's more like delegating, but it's the same thing as staking. That's pretty sweet. And then there's, that OHM project. I don't know if you heard about that one.
Yeah, I did hear a little bit about that one. Can you describe that one?
That one is a DeFi. I guess there's liquidity coins we could talk about too, but OHM is it's a pretty crazy experiment for DeFi. So you stake coins, and they use a series of liquidity coins, stable coins, and bonds to give out an unreal amount of APR, and it doesn't dilute the value of the coin. So it's kind of like, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but it works somehow. And I think the APY on OHM is like 7,000 or APY, yeah, so like 7,000% APY. And then this Wonderland coin just came out, and that's at 50,000 APY. And it's the same thing. It's supposed to be a mere copy of OHM, which I am kind of playing with right now. But it's, every 5 days you increase your holdings by 8.9% with Wonderland. So it's pretty unreal, super high risk. Don't bet the house. Don't bet the farm. Don't sell all your assets and go in on these experiments because, this could end badly. But, liquidity coins are another form of staking, and a lot of these projects are getting into using liquidity to do automatic market makers, and that's like Uniswap, and it's, liquidity is built into the system, and you provide liquidity, you get rewarded, and liquidity coins usually pay out a lot more than just regular staking, but they usually deflate as well. So to see this OHM project not deflate and lose value, and the APY is so high, is pretty amazing. And it's, I've been watching it for a while and invested in it for a while, and it seems to be pretty sustainable somehow. But diversifying and not putting all your eggs in one basket is a good idea.
Now, before we get into masternodes, ladies and gentlemen, Minus Wells is dropping some gems today. And I encourage each and every one of you that if you find value in this episode, to share this episode with as many people as possible. Now, Minus, let's talk about masternodes. What is your favorite masternode project right now?
My favorite masternode project, it's kind of like saying, which one of your kids do you love more? It's just it's a bad question for me.
Right.
But masternode projects, let's see here. It's probably going to be...
And you could throw around a few.
It's probably Flux. I did an episode between Flux, SRX, which is StoreX. It's an XDC masternode. Flux. Now I'm going to talk about Flux here in a minute. And then Packcoin. And those are three, really good masternodes to get into, in my opinion. Pros and cons, I guess Flux is a little more challenging to install. The next step down would be the SRX node, which is a one command type of, you got to get into Putty and log into your server and all that stuff, but it's one command, so it's pretty straightforward. Then there's Pack, which they have it all set up, so you just click buttons and follow the instructions. My mom can figure it out, your mom could figure it out. It's real easy. And let's see here, Packcoin. We get rewarded. Packcoin's about 16% annual interest APR right now, and you're going to get 3 coins eventually. You're going to get the Packcoin, you're going to get Flare, and you're going to get Yancoin, all in one masternode, which is pretty cool. And Pack, a lot of people dog on the CEO, which they have great reason to. Some of his tweets are just kind of off subject when you're running a company, to say the least. But they just came out with that that Yan safe, or it's like Dropbox, but it's decentralized, and it's super cool. It's super clean. It works good. You get like you get a couple gigabytes for free, which is pretty slick. You can log onto it anywhere. Your files are encrypted in the blockchain. It's, our master nodes are going to validate that, and we're going to get rewarded in a Yan. And Flares kind of be done in this similar way, with providing resources to validate the Flare network, and then we get rewarded for these pack nodes. So pack right now is about 70% of the circulating supply locked up in master nodes. Now, the more that gets locked up in the supply, the less rewards you get, but also the less coins in circulation, supply and demand. The more demand, less supply. One of these days, like when all of a sudden you can get Yan and you can get Flare for running one master node, everyone's going to want this. The diversification you get with 3 coins for running one master node. I mean, it kicks traditional finance in the ass just with your pack rewards, and then all of a sudden you stack these other coins on top of it, and it's just a no-brainer. It's kind of a must-have in your portfolio, in my opinion, for master nodes, and they're going to do big things. I think they did their project went from real low to 15-20x. I think this run so far, and I don't think it's over as long as Bitcoin continues. Like I said, these other coins are going to drive a lot of value and eat up the circulating supply. Oh yeah, and anyone can install that one. Like I said, okay, so that's a really good one. Everyone listening, is to start off with a pack node, maintenance free, pretty much. I think I've had to maintenance my nodes once or twice in the last year and a half. So, and then Flux. Let's see. Now let's go to SRX. SRX, which is the StoreX, the XDC blockchain. They're kind of competing with Pack here. It's decentralized storage. They want to be the decentralized Dropbox option. And Pack has already produced a product, and StoreX is kind of farther behind in regards to that. But they're going to be coming out with different products. Not one blockchain company like Pack is going to take everything. So there's room for both projects to kind of flourish and be profitable and thrive. So StoreX is like a high yielding masternode. So I think right now, if you buy 5,000 coins, you get paid out every month 750 plus 6% APR on your 5,000 coins. So I think the net is 826 coins a month. Right now, let's see here, we're at $1.40 per coin. About a month ago, it was at $4 a coin. It was really profitable back then, but still, right now, every month, what do they cost? $7,500 or so per node, and they're paying out $1,500. So it's great, but you got to be kind of careful, because when coins pay out too much, they dilute their value. So what we just saw in the last month was a lot of sell-offs, and people are just selling their massive amounts of rewards they're getting, because you get a ton of rewards and they're worth a lot of money. So people are, capitalizing on that selling, which is driving that price down. So will that keep driving the price down? I don't know. It may not. The project needs to grow. It's getting exponentially harder to buy these nodes. Every so many nodes that are created, the collateral requirements go up. So that should help. But is it going to be enough? I don't know. This is all a risk. Diversify. It's good to have, if you can afford, all 3 of these that I'm going to talk about, it's good to have, one of each or a couple of each. Never know. But the high rewards it's still good today. Even if it goes down to $1 and you're getting $750 a month for running one of these nodes, it's still good money. Flux. Flux is crazy. So Flux is a decentralized cloud server. So when we spool up a masternode, we are adding to a decentralized server. So our server that we're renting, our VPS that we're renting, goes up into the cloud. Now anyone can tap into it. If you want to create a website, you can run it on Flux decentralized web. And pretty much the people with masternodes are running this service. So if you want to create a website in, I was going to say Japan, but if you want to run a website in Europe, you can just find a masternode that's based out of Europe and run your website off that, and it's decentralized. It's pretty slick, and they have all sorts of mechanisms, like if the masternode gets blown up because the VPS provider has a meltdown, it instantly has it backed up and it transfers it to another masternode. So you don't really have to worry about losing all your data because a masternode goes down. They have a system set up in place. So in, like, for example, pre-search, that really hot topic these days, is run. There's an extension in Flux that runs the pre-search, like the pre-search app, and it validates. It provides resources for the pre-project. So Flux, it's also got parachains. It's got, tomorrow it's going to add Tron, and it's going to add Solana as parachains. So right now it has Bitcoin's smart contract or smart chain. It's got Ethereum, and it's got Cadena. So running a masternode, there's 3 different tiers. I like the middle tier, the Nimbus. So they all have different rewards and yada, yada, yada. The top tier is really expensive, and the rewards are the least. And, if you want to manage less masternodes, that's cool. But, the Nimbus, I think it's like 8,000 a pop. So that's, what's the point of getting one 4 times as expensive and running 4? If you can afford 4, that's great, right? But the rewards are a lot better than PAC. They're about double from PAC in the Flux token. And then you also get these parachain payouts. So Cadena has a node that you can install on the Flux, on your Flux masternode interface. It's also a parachain. So you're getting Cadena rewards on the Flux side of things, and then on the Cadena side of things. And then you're getting all the other parachains. So right now there's tomorrow there's going to be 5 different parachains. You're going to get 2 different drops from Cadena. You're going to get the 4 other parachains, and you're going to get the Flux. That's 6. 6 different, it's 5 different coins, 6 different payouts essentially, which is pretty badass. And Flux doesn't stop there. They're going to be getting 5 more chains here by I think like Q1 or Q2. 5 more coins hooked up. So we're going to be getting another 5 coins for running one masternode, which is a total of 11 coins for running one masternode. So that's pretty badass. Flux has also installed the Rosetta node, or I forget what it is, masternode validator, which is needed to be added to Coinbase. So there's a lot of speculation behind that. The devs are also under lots of NDAs with other big companies. So what we're going to see with Flux is that it's going to get huge. So if you get it now, the rewards are 20 to 30%. That's pretty badass. That's a lot of rewards. And you get, 5 other coins, and pretty soon it's going to be 10. But if it gets added to Coinbase, everyone's going to get priced out of these nodes. And if you hold 1 or 2 or 3 or 7 or 8 or whatever you have, you're going to be left with a pretty valuable asset, that's going to work for you. You're not going to want to sell it. You're just going to collect the coins, and you're going to be really happy knowing that you have these money-making machines that are worth tons of money. A Nimbus node for Flux is like $8,000. When this coin 10x's, not if, it's when this coin 10x's, it's like you got an $80,000 asset that's popping out 20 to 30% income for you. And a lot of people are going to get priced out of these things. A lot of people are going to sell their masternodes and take profits. I mean, maybe not a lot, but a lot of people will sell and take profits, you know. They're going to be like, I'm going to liquidate this. I'm going to buy a car. I'm going to get my down payment on my house. And less people are going to be able to buy these things because they're so expensive. So the rewards I anticipate as the market goes up and these masternodes become more expensive, less of them are going to exist. And, in relatively speaking, compared to what they are now, and they're going to be getting more rewards compared to right now. So getting in early, thinking of the future is important with these masternodes, because you're going to look back if you have these things and just be so happy you have them. I mean, you can't retire on a lump sum without being a stingy, I was going to swear, but a stingy person, that watches their money. And I deal with a lot of rich people, and you can tell the ones that are stingy, that are living off of stocks and dividends, but not a lot. They might have $10 million or $5 million collecting 3 or 4 or 5% interest at the most, in traditional finance. But, they're living off of not a lot of income, and they just have a lump sum for the most part. And it's, they're just stingy, and you just got to worry about going through life on, hopefully you don't need to have an emergency and have to sell some of your stocks, then you have less wealth, at the end of the day. And then, are you going to be able to live off of your wealth forever? With masternodes, with this high interest, the passive income is going to become substantial, and it's going to be life-changing. So if you want to, retire, quit your job, live your dreams, you need passive income, and you need a budget. And a budget's going to give you confidence, going to give you comfort, and it's going to give you all sorts of opportunities. I mean, regular inflation, I think in February this year was 1.8%, and a lot of stocks only pay out 3, 4, 5%. If you get high risk stocks, they're 7%. So a lot of your money goes off into nowhere for inflation. And masternodes, 30% interest, it's like 1.8% inflation becomes almost irrelevant. It's negligible, So it's just it's a great thing to get into now, and bite the bullet if you got to, and suffer through a bear market and accumulate, and you're going to be left with some real money making gems here.
And ladies and gentlemen, I encourage each and every one of you to do your own research into each of these projects that Minus has discussed with us. And I'll put timestamps down below in the description for your convenience on each of the projects that Minus has discussed here today. We are winding down on this episode of the Bully Crypto Podcast. And again, I have to ask each and every one of you that if you find value in this episode, to share this episode with as many people as you can on all social media platforms. Minus, how important has these passive income streams, when it comes to staking, mining, masternodes, how important have they been in your life? And what is sort of a piece of advice that you could give to the listeners who maybe are sitting on $10,000 at home, or maybe they don't have a lot of money at home, but they want to get in on these opportunities? What sort of advice do you have for these types of people?
Well, a lot of people are priced out of masternodes, and 10 grand isn't going to get you many masternodes. But the passive income aspect, if you can afford a masternode, that's great. You want to get one. You want to plan. I tell people, don't try to get rich now. We want to plant seeds. I always say plant a seed. We want to plant seeds, and in 5 years, when the market 10 to 30x's like it historically has, when it happens again, you're going to be left with some really cool stuff, some money-making, passive income monsters. And like I said, if you have passive income, then you could be like, hey, maybe I'm going to retire. But if you have a lump sum, you're like, well, I don't know if I can retire because I need an income. So these masternodes have provided me with passive income. And the way I look at it is, blockchain could take a dive, Bitcoin could just collapse, and historically it could collapse 80%. So what's my income going to be if that happens? And that's kind of where you set your benchmark. Everything else is bonus. But, you don't want to quit your job in the top of a bull run, because you think, oh, I'm making, $8,000 a month or whatever, 10 grand, 20 grand a month, because it could collapse and then you're effed, right? But, you build it up, and in 5 years, when we're at the height of the next bull run and things have 10x, 20x, then your $8,000 or, buying one Nimbus node is now 80 grand, and you're making 20 to 30%, which is, let's see, what is that? That is 16 to 20 some odd $1,000 a year. And that's substantial income. And, you stack up a few of these and keep working hard over the next 4 years. And that's what I've been doing since 2017, working hard, stacking, not selling, and getting ready to launch, into a world where you can kind of do whatever you want and have freedom to not trade your time for a paycheck and deal with these rich asshole overlords that control your life.
Yeah, I don't want to deal with them either. So that's why even I'm interested in these income opportunities. I mean, I have a few master nodes here and there, but as far as staking and mining, I wanted to get into helium mining. I really did, but I was too late to the party. I was way too late to the party. I found out about it too late, and there were some Links miners that I wanted to get in on, and I was emailing them, and I told them, hey, I want to get in early on this miner so that I could, get my hands on like 10 of them.
Yeah,
but
it took me like
they
9,
never emailed me back.
10 months to get my
Right.
Almost a year to get my miners. And now there's so many out there, the rewards are down, but yeah.
Yeah, but these are the opportunities that a lot of people just don't know about. And I appreciate you for coming on and explaining to everyone the ins and outs of mining, staking, and masternodes, because there are a lot of opportunities in this space, ladies and gentlemen, and it's important to take advantage of these opportunities early on. Minus, my last question for you today is, where could people follow you? What social media platforms are you the most active on so that they could follow your progress on these passive income opportunities, and so that they can learn more about passive income opportunities? Where can they follow you?
At Minus Wells on Twitter. And then I also recently started a YouTube channel, Minus Wells Crypto. So, a lot of people find value in my thought process and what I say. And if people find value in what they've heard, then they want to follow and subscribe. That's great. I want to help people. It's something that I've always done on Twitter, is help people. And, looking forward to the rest of my life, I think that's what I want to do with the rest of my life too, to some extent, is, help people and, get away from, being, working, I guess, trading time for a paycheck, I guess, and help people on my own time.
And I'll put those links for the listeners down in the description. Minus Wells, thank you so much for sharing an enormous amount of value here on the Bully Crypto Podcast. And again, check out the timestamps down below for your convenience on each of the topics that Minus Wells and I discussed here today. Minus, again, thank you so much for coming on to the Bully Crypto Podcast.
Yeah, it was fun. Thank you for inviting me.